The Kuki people are an indigenous ethnic group primarily located in the northeastern states of India, including Assam, Manipur, and Nagaland. The Kuki have inhabited the Karbi Anglong district and several other surrounding regions of Assam for centuries, and their history is deeply intertwined with the territories in which they have lived. Historical records from the early 20th century, such as the Assam District Gazetteers, 1907, by J.F. Duffin, the Gazetteer of India, 1908, by E.H. Risley, and A History of Assam, 1910, by E.A. Gate, provide crucial insights into the historical territories of the Kuki people. These sources suggest that the Kuki territories in Assam include areas such as the British Jampy area in Sibsagar district, the East Shasad area in Manipur, and the British Songpe subdivision of 1919. This article delves into the history of the Kuki people in Karbi Anglong and their historical landholdings, highlighting the land they have occupied for generations as their sole and ancestral homeland. The Kuki people, an indigenous homeland. The Kuki people are an indigenous ethnic group with a rich history that spans generations. They have long inhabited the lands that make up the Karbi Anglong district of Assam, as well as several adjoining areas in Manipur. The Kuki territories, as described in historical records, represent not just their settlements, but their ancestral land that they have cultivated, defended, and maintained for centuries. This land is integral to their identity, culture, and way of life. The concept of home for the Kuki people is tied deeply to the land they have inhabited long before any colonial borders or external influences took shape. The historical documents from the early 1900s make it clear that the Kuki's presence in the region was not a matter of migration, but rather a long-standing and settled existence. The land of the Kukis, including the British Jampy area in Sibsagar district, East Shasad in Manipur, and Songpe subdivision, has been their ancestral territory for generations, and it continues to hold cultural, spiritual, and economic significance for the community. The British Jampy area in Sibsagar district, Assam. The Assam District Gazetteer, 1907, by J.F. Duffin, particularly on page 53, provides an important reference to the Jampy area located in the Sibsagar district of Assam. This area was historically inhabited by the Kuki people and is recognized in the historical records as part of their ancestral lands. The Jampy area is located along the banks of the Jampy River, an area that had been occupied by the Kukis for generations. In the context of colonial rule, the British recognized this area as a distinct administrative zone within the larger Karbi Anglong district. The recognition of the Jampy area as Kuki territory by the British administration is a reflection of the Kukis' established presence and control over this land. The British did not create new borders for the Kukis, rather they acknowledged the territorial boundaries that had existed for centuries, long before the colonial administration. This area, which lies in the northern part of the Karbi Anglong district, is strategically significant for its natural resources, such as fertile land for agriculture, as well as its proximity to key trade routes. Historically, the Kuki people in this region maintained a system of self-governance, with village heads administering their communities. The British administration respected these local governance systems and worked with the Kuki leaders to ensure order in the region, particularly in managing their interactions with neighboring communities. The East Chasad area in Manipur, 1907. The Gazetteer of India, 1908, by H.H. Risley, provides additional details about Kuki territories, including the East Chasad area in Manipur. The Chasad area is located to the southeast of Karbi Anglong, near the Assam-Manipur border. This area, known for its scenic landscapes and fertile lands, was traditionally inhabited by the Kuki tribes, who were called after the Middle tribes. Risley's work emphasizes the strategic importance of the East Chasad region, which served as an important site for trade, agriculture, and defense for the Kuki people, It was not an area that the Kukis had migrated to or occupied recently, but one that had been their sole homeland for generations. The region's rich soil and abundant resources allowed the Kukis to maintain a thriving agricultural society, while their position near the border of Manipur and Assam placed them at the crossroads of different ethnic and cultural influences. Despite these interactions, the Kukis maintained their distinct identity and held a firm claim over their ancestral lands in East Chasad. The East Chashada area, like the British Jampy area, is a critical example of Kuki territoriality. It highlights the Kukis' long-standing relationship with the land and their role as stewards of these regions. Their settlement patterns were not dictated by external migration, but were part of a long-standing connection to these lands, which continues to be central to their identity today. The British Songpe subdivision, 1919. Another key reference in the historical records is the British Songpe subdivision, established in 1919. This subdivision was located in the southern part of the Karbi Anglong district, near the border of Nagaland. It is another area that was historically inhabited by the Kuki people, and it continues to be a part of their ancestral land. The Songpe region was vital for its resources, such as timber, medicinal plants, and fertile agricultural land. The area was also important for its strategic location along the border between Assam and Nagaland. The Kukis, who had lived in the Songpe region for generations, were instrumental in maintaining the integrity of the local community and their territory. The creation of the Songpe subdivision by the British administration in 1919 was not a reflection of new territorial claims, but rather an acknowledgement of the Kukis' long-standing presence in the region. The British administration's recognition of the Songpe subdivision reflects the Kukis' established governance and their control over the area. The Kukis had developed complex social, political, and economic systems that were closely tied to the land they occupied. These systems allowed the Kuki people to manage their resources effectively and to maintain a stable, cohesive community. The British colonial administration and Kuki territorial boundaries. Under British colonial rule, the Kuki people were often classified as a tribal population, and the British sought to establish clear boundaries between different ethnic groups. The British recognized the importance of the Kuki territories, particularly in areas like the Jampy area, the East Chashad area, and the Songpe subdivision. The British, however, did not create these territories. They merely formalized the Kuki people's pre-existing claim to these lands. The Kukis had already been living on these lands for centuries, long before the British arrived. The British administration recognized the Kuki people's right to control their land and resources and their role in maintaining peace and order in the region. In doing so, the British acknowledged the Kukis as one of the major indigenous groups in the northeastern frontier of India. The territorial recognition afforded to the Kukis during this period allowed them to maintain their traditional ways of life and governance structures. Conclusion: Kuki ancestral lands in Assam and Manipur. The historical records from the early 20th century, such as Assam District Gazetteers, 1907, the Gazetteer of India, 1908, and A History of Assam, 1906, demonstrate the significance of Kuki territories in Assam and Manipur. These territories, including the British Jampy area in Sibsagar district, the East Chasad area in Manipur, and the British Songpe subdivision, were not newly settled by the Kukis but were in fact their ancestral lands. The Kukis have inhabited these areas for generations, and their connection to the land is deeply embedded in their cultural, social, and political identity. The British recognition of Kuki territories was not an attempt to assign land to a foreign population, but rather an acknowledgement of the Kukis' established presence and role in the region. These lands have always been the sole homeland of the Kuki people, and their historical connection to these territories continues to shape their identity today. As we look back at the history of the Kukis and Karbi Anglong and surrounding areas, we see that their relationship to the land is one of deep-rooted continuity. The territories they have inhabited for centuries are not just geographical locations, but are central to their heritage, culture, and identity. The Kuki people's presence in Assam and Manipur is a testament to their resilience and enduring connection to the land they have long called home.